But I want to bring you up to speed on some new additional information. First, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, and he is, Zuhdi, where are you? Here you are. Zuhdi is a good friend of mine that we met, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
6 years ago.
After 9/11, I said, here, see, Zuhdi. I said, where is the Muslim that is coming out and saying, this has got to stop, who is still a good practicing Muslim? I found you 5 years ago, and you have been steadfast in calling for peace and saying, this is not what we're supposed to be. So let's talk. By the way, he's the president and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and a real American patriot. So let me start here. Tell me about the Muslim Brotherhood's spiritual leader. Who is he?
They have a spiritual leader right now, but the one that they really respond to, the one that says he's refused to be their spiritual leader, but really is the de facto one, is Yusuf Qaradawi. He's a little over 80 years old. He commands the attention of over 80 million Muslims a week in a program on Al Jazeera called Islam or Life and Sharia. And he's one of the main spokespeople on Al Jazeera. He has a website called Islam Online that he gives fatwas or religious rulings to. And, you know, I think that America has been asleep to the reason why some of the statistics you gave about political Islam and the influence of Islam in their life has been increasing ever more so. I mean, my family came to this country escaping two fascisms: the secular fascism of Assad and his contemporary Jamal Abdel Nasser, who created this environment in Egypt, and all these dictators in the Middle East. The other side of that coin of fascism was theocracy, the theocratic fascists like the Brotherhood.
And so this is the Muslim Brotherhood, the one that they really respond to on the theocratic side. Watch this video. Here he is.
اللهم خذ هذه الطغمة الباغية الطاغية اللهم عليك بهذه الطغمة اليهودية الصهيونية الباغية اللهم لا تبق لهم من باقية اللهم احصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تبق منهم أحدا.
That's nothing. Wait until we show you what else he said. Next. Back with my friend Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He is the president and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. I want to show you, now this is one of the guys, the main guys that the Muslim Brotherhood go for spiritual food.
Yep, Yusuf Qaradawi. He's followed by millions, tens of millions of Muslims around the world as the spiritual leader of the global political movement of Islam.
Okay, listen, and I want you to watch this at the bottom of your screen. Watch this carefully. Here it is.
سلط عليهم طوال التاريخ من يؤدبهم نتيجة إفسادهم. آخر تأديب كان تأديب هتلر، ما فعل بهم وإن كان مبالغوا في الأمر ما بلغوا، ولكن استطاع أن يعني يوقفهم عند حدودهم، وكان هذا أدبا إلهيا، تأديبا إلهيا، وعقابا قدريا لهؤلاء. والمرة القادمة إن شاء الله ستكون على أيدي المؤمنين.
There's a lot of that. Why the media won't show you is beyond me. We're going to try to get to some solutions here tonight. But that is an important piece to put in on who you're dealing with. This is spiritual food for many in the Muslim Brotherhood. One other piece, because Zuhdi is probably the best guy to explain Islamic socialism. Can you explain how the two are coming together?
Yeah, I think, you know, from our environment, it's sort of how the far left communism and Marxism comes together with the far right in fascism and in Western politics in our history. In Islamic socialism, theocracy looks to collectivize the community into one, which is that this is a dominion of God. It's a nation state, an Islamic state that is God's nation, and under Islam, under Sharia law. So Islamic socialism, you'll see in the Islamists in Europe will come together with the left on nanny state programs that the government is supposed to provide, welfare state, schools, education, healthcare, etc., but then come together also with the far right on family issues, etc., but far more to the right, where they oppress women and become fascist in their oppression of minorities and supremacists. So Islamic socialism is a collectivism under the aegis of an oligarchy of clerics that interpret law like we see in Iran.
Zuhdi, people are saying it doesn't exist, it's not real.
Well, I can tell you it's existing and it's growing, and we've been missing in action. There is a war of ideas that we need to be involved in, and we simply say, okay, now Mubarak's going away, our security is going to be threatened. Our security is not stable right now. Mubarak has allowed these people to spread their ideas because it gives him legitimacy to oppress the moderate reform that needs to happen. The Muslim community is starving for reform. Many of the families and Muslims I know, that's not the Islam we practice. We came to this country because of the inalienable rights that this government gives us. And I think just as we allowed Poland, Czechoslovakia, and other countries to repair from communist oppression, and we were involved on the ground in that process, now I think Egypt's going to wake us up to get involved in the ground on that process.
I've got about 30 seconds. Yes or no, is this kind of stuff planted throughout and we're all turning a blind eye?
It's not only planted, it's been spreading by the Wahhabists from oil dollars in Saudi Arabia, spread in
Pakistan. Here in
America. And the Muslim Brotherhood in America is the nonviolent Islamist political groups that we all know that you talked about, the Islamic Society of North America, CARE, etc., that are nonviolent, but within their own programs have not been about reform and the separation of mosque and state, which is what our organization is about First Amendment, the Establishment Clause, but rather they're about just using the concept of minority status to anesthetize America to the real issues of Islamism and Sharia.
Okay. Some answers to some solutions, whether you like them or not, are going to come up here in just a second. But next, I'm going to bring in Joel Rosenberg, who is looking, this is Sunni Islam. I want to spend just a couple of seconds on Shiite Muslims, because in Iran, there was an announcement today. We'll give you that in a second. All right. Inside the Revolution, Joel Rosenberg. The day after the dollar crashes, Damon Vickers. And Zuhdi, where's your... He doesn't have a... You have one coming?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good, good. You should. We spent an hour here trying to talk about what is happening in Egypt, and we haven't, and we'll get into this more next week, but we haven't talked about a solution yet. Just real quick off the top of your head, because I don't think we agree on a solution, your solution to what is happening in Egypt now.
Well, two things for me. First, the political side. The president needs to not go with the Muslim Brotherhood. He cannot play with gasoline in front of an open flame, because if he encourages the Islamists to take over, this is a worst case scenario. So that's the political side. I don't know if you want to go further.
What is the other side?
For me, it's spiritual.
Spiritual side?
Yeah, I'm an evangelical Christian.
Okay, hang on for that, because I think that does play a role. Go ahead.
I think the solution is to come back to American principles so that we're consistent and we say what we mean, and we mean what we say about freedom and humanitarianism and what we are, and to defend those entities in the Middle East and in Egypt, and to stand by them, and to have a long-term strategy, Glenn, to start to transform the Middle East. And this is the first step. We're going to take steps backwards before we go forward. We learned that in the Eastern Bloc countries. We learned it in Japan.
Okay, I agree with you, I think, but don't you think that we should get in bed with the Muslim Brotherhood if we have to?
No. You can allow them to be legal, but yet fight them in the war of ideas, create a Radio Free Egypt and other things to fight them and say that theocracy fails and they are the worse than Mubarak, than better. And we can do that without suppressing their rights.
Okay. Damon.
We're facing a very formidable challenge of global change. And
because this is what you and I have been talking about for a while. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning of it, don't you think?
It feels like it's the beginning of it. You can't, when we know it from how markets behave, that when the dominoes start falling, that they can begin taking on their own momentum.
Right.
This type of thing could be in the process of happening very fast. But for solutions, we have to start walking our own talk. We need to be the change that we want to see in the world. And we need to transform our own hearts and our own minds and be living examples in a country that is able to project the right ideals and
Okay.
the right values to influence the world.
I will tell you that I honestly don't know. If I were president of the United States, I think I wouldn't want the Muslim Brotherhood in. I think I would just let it play out, and then just let it play out, and then just pull my money and support and do what you say. Go in and make sure you're speaking out against it. But I don't think we have any credibility anymore in the world because we don't have values and principles anymore. I mean, we should never have been in bed with Mubarak. And we can't change the past, but we can change the future. And I think what he wrote up on the board here is the most important stuff. Education. These people have been played. You saw it in 2008. They were played. It was all set up. The framework, the structure was there. That's what we've been showing you. They're building structure in this country, and they're waiting for things to get bad enough so they can grab the disenfranchised, pull them all together, and get them to do what they're doing now in Egypt and all around. So we have to, A, educate ourselves. We have to, B, store food. It's not like a crazy fallout shelter. It's like our grandparents used to do. Our grandparents used to just can their own food. Get ourselves out of debt. Don't buy the extra stuff that you don't need. Just live within our means. So if things get bad, if inflation does start to happen, we are a shelter for others. And here is the best. Rebuild our communities, and not through community organizing, because that's about politics. And this isn't about politics, is it? I come back to you because you just said...
Yeah, not to me. I mean, inside the Revolution book, there's 3 revolutionary forces in the region. The radicals, who are the Muslim jihadists. There are the reformers, Zuhdi and others, who are saying, no, they're crazy. Let's fight against them, but let's do it with democracy. But there are also the revivalists. Millions of Muslims are saying, we're done with Islam. And many of them, not all by any means, but many, millions, are coming to faith in Jesus Christ. And so for the church, we need to think, we don't have to just go with political solutions.
But let me tell you something. I am with you. I'm a Christian. But I'll stand with you any day. And I hope we fight side by side spiritually, because we need each other. We need each other. If we lose each other, we're toast. We're toast.
Faith is negated if it's coerced, and it has to be in a free market of ideas.
Faith is the answer.
Absolutely.
Back in a second.
Nice.